It was a warm summer evening, and Sarah had decided to take a dip in the community pool to cool off. She had just moved into the neighborhood a few weeks ago and was still getting to know her neighbors. As she swam laps, she noticed a man watching her from the side of the pool. His name was Mark, and he had introduced himself to Sarah earlier that day. He was tall, with dark hair and piercing blue eyes. Sarah had been flattered by his attention, but she was also a little nervous. She hadn't been on a date in a while, and she wasn't sure if Mark was interested in her or just being friendly. After she finished swimming, Sarah got out of the pool and dried off. Mark approached her and asked if she wanted to grab a drink with him. Sarah hesitated for a moment, but then agreed. They walked to a nearby bar and sat down at a table. The conversation flowed easily at first, but then Mark started to get a little too personal. He asked Sarah about her past relationships and whether she had ever had a one-night stand. Sarah felt uncomfortable, but she didn't want to be rude. As they continued to talk, Mark's hand began to wander. He rubbed Sarah's leg and then moved his hand up to her thigh. Sarah tensed up and moved his hand away. She told him that she wasn't comfortable with that kind of behavior. Mark apologized and said that he had misread the situation. Sarah accepted his apology, but she was still feeling uneasy. She finished her drink and told Mark that she needed to go home. Mark walked Sarah back to her apartment, and as they stood outside her door, he leaned in to kiss her. Sarah hesitated for a moment, but then kissed him back. The kiss was awkward and sloppy, and Sarah knew that she didn't want to take it any further. She pulled away and told Mark that she needed to go inside. He looked disappointed, but he didn't try to stop her. Sarah went inside and closed the door, leaning against it for support. She felt violated and confused. She had enjoyed talking to Mark, but she hadn't expected him to make a move on her so soon. She wondered if she had led him on in any way, but she knew that she had been clear about her boundaries. Sarah decided to take a hot shower to help her relax. As she stood under the streaming water, she replayed the evening's events in her mind. She wished that she had handled the situation differently, but she knew that she had done the best she could. The next day, Sarah ran into Mark at the grocery store. He apologized again for his behavior and asked if they could start over. Sarah hesitated, but then agreed. They exchanged phone numbers and made plans to go on a proper date. Sarah was nervous as the date approached, but she was also excited. She wanted to give Mark a chance to prove that he could be a good partner. They went to a nice restaurant and had a lovely dinner. Mark was charming and attentive, and Sarah found herself enjoying his company. She felt a spark between them, and she was hopeful that things would work out. As the evening wore on, however, Sarah started to feel uncomfortable again. Mark's hand kept finding its way to her leg, and she could tell that he was getting impatient. She knew that she didn't want to lead him on again, so she told him that she needed to go home. Mark looked disappointed, but he didn't try to stop her. Sarah left the restaurant and walked back to her apartment, feeling deflated. She had hoped that things would be different this time, but she knew that she couldn't ignore her instincts. Sarah realized that she needed to be more upfront about her boundaries in the future. She didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but she also didn't want to put herself in an uncomfortable situation. She went to bed early that night, feeling grateful for the lesson that she had learned. She knew that she would be more cautious in the future, and she was determined to trust her gut. The next day, Sarah received a text from Mark apologizing again for his behavior. She thanked him for his apology and told him that she thought it would be best if they went their separate ways. Mark responded by calling her a tease and telling her that she had led him on. Sarah was hurt by his words, but she knew that she had made the right decision. She blocked his number and deleted his contact information. Sarah knew that she would eventually move on and find someone who respected her boundaries and made her feel comfortable and safe. She just needed to be patient and trust the process. In the meantime, Sarah focused on taking care of herself. She went for long walks, practiced yoga, and spent time with her friends. She also started volunteering at a local animal shelter, which brought her a lot of joy and fulfillment. As the weeks went by, Sarah started to feel more like herself again. She had good days and bad days, But she knew that she was moving in the right direction. One day, as she was volunteering at the animal shelter, she met a man named Tom. He was kind and gentle, with a warm smile and a quick wit. Sarah was drawn to him immediately, and she could tell that he felt the same way about her. They exchanged phone numbers and made plans to go on a date. Sarah was nervous, but she was also excited. She felt a connection with Tom that she hadn't felt with anyone else in a long time. Their first date was amazing. They went for a walk in the park and talked for hours. Tom was interested in Sarah's life and asked her thoughtful questions. He listened attentively and made her feel seen and heard. As the evening wore on, Sarah felt more and more comfortable with Tom. She knew that she could trust him, and she felt safe with him. When he walked her back to her apartment, Tom leaned in to kiss her. Sarah responded eagerly, feeling a spark between them. They kissed for a few minutes, and then Tom pulled away. He looked at Sarah and asked if he could come inside. Sarah hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. She wanted to take things slow, but she also wanted to see where things would go with Tom. They went inside and sat down on the couch. Tom put his arm around Sarah, and they talked for a while longer. Sarah felt a warmth spreading through her body, and she knew that she was falling for him. After a while, Tom leaned in to kiss her again. This time, the kiss was deep and passionate. Sarah responded eagerly, feeling a surge of desire. They started to undress each other, and Sarah felt a sense of excitement and nervousness. She wanted this, but she also wanted to make sure that she was ready. Tom seemed to sense her hesitation and pull it back. He looked at her and asked if she was sure. Sarah nodded, feeling a sense of relief. She knew that Tom would respect her boundaries and make sure that she was comfortable. They made love slowly and carefully, taking their time to explore each other's bodies. Sarah felt a sense of connection and intimacy that she had never felt before. Afterward, they lay in each other's arms, feeling content and happy. Sarah knew that she had found something special with Tom, and she was grateful. They continued to see each other, and their relationship grew stronger every day. Sarah felt seen and heard by Tom, and she knew that he respected her boundaries and made her feel safe. Looking back on that awkward sexual experience with Mark, Sarah realized that it had been a valuable lesson. She had learned to trust her gut and be more upfront about her boundaries, and she had found someone who respected her and made her feel loved. Sarah knew that she would always remember that awkward experience with Mark, but she also knew that it had led her to something much better. She felt grateful for the lesson and for the love that she had found with Tom.
Please subscribe to my channel Lessons of Life and press the bell notification icon.